Hello and yes, welcome back to the Liberty for Philly podcast. This is part 2 of our first ever episode featuring the Good Fights Alex Carr. If you haven't seen our first episode, make sure to go back and look at that as we broke down his top 10 Phillies prospects. Now, here is our 2021 MLB predictions. These are way early, but there are pretty hot takes inside of them, so enjoy. Now we're going to move on to our very early MLB projections. You ready?
Oh, I'm ready. I'm always ready.
All right, here we go. As you can see here, we got all of our fellow divisions, none unlike ours, which seems to be the most strongest of all of them.
We say that every year, and we're always wrong, though.
There's always that one. There's always that black sheep in the family. The Marlins last year too. The Marlins.
I mean, except for last year, like 2016 through 2019. Oh, this division's looking really strong. Everyone craps themselves except for one team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we'll see. It's primarily because the division is so strong that a lot of the records don't necessarily reflect, because every division plays each other more.
That is really much true.
That is often what happens. But we'll just have to wait and see. It's certainly going to be an interesting year in the NL East.
All right. Let's start out with the NL West. We got obviously the big money spending Padres along with the new Hollywood Dodgers with Trevor Bauer.
Hollywood Dodgers. I mean, they've always been.
Yeah,
they can throw everything at it. Throw anything at everything. Anything that moves, they'll throw money at.
I mean, they're pretty smart about it, but sure.
They're really smart with their money.
Cap, though, it would be better if there was a caps. I mean, either way, I still think there would be teams like the Rays who would be spending at the cap floor, but
the Rays have done well.
Would be more beneficial than a cap.
Yeah, I think.
The Rays have done just fine. I agree with you.
Yeah, I know, but then he still is too cheap though. Did you see what he can do with but then they traded away Blake Snell because he costed too much or whatever.
I mean, it's what you have to do when you're a low payroll team, right? You have to flip these guys when they're at their peak.
Yeah. Where did Blake Snell end up?
I forget.
He's with the Padres.
Oh, that's right. That seems so long ago.
Rays and Padres have been making so many trades with each other over these last couple of years. The Hunter Rent.
They're very smart.
All right, to begin, I believe the Dodgers will come out on top in the NL West. I think this is just because with obviously Clayton Kershaw, this might be his last year in a Dodgers uniform. I think he's going to be going out for a huge contract. And I think with Justin Turner and all those other good players, especially with additions of Trevor Bauer, Dustin May, who's not even high up in the rotation, is still really good.
He's a starter.
He is a starter.
The bullpen for the postseason, that's what threw me off.
Yeah, I just think that Dustin May and that rotation just carries the Dodgers to the NL West crown. Jared, what do you think?
What do you mean? Obviously, the Giants are going to win. No, I'm just kidding. The Dodgers, obviously.
You're not a fan of Gabe Kapler and his regime over there?
Dude, they're rebuilding. There's no way. I mean, it's not 2010.
They're getting to the end of it.
They're almost there.
I love the Giants.
Yeah, I like Yastrzemski a lot for them. Yastrzemski is perfect.
Yeah, Mike Yastrzemski, he's all right. Not bad.
Kapler though, he doesn't.
I do. Yeah. I think Gabe Kapler's great.
He just needed more time to develop as a manager. I think we did.
Necessarily. I just don't think he was the right jive with
the right guy with
with the Philadelphia fan base.
How ownership necessarily breaks things down. Not even with the fan base. Just
we're not
ownership.
Also, we're not forgiving. We're not forgiving.
All right, Alex.
My pick is also the Dodgers. I don't think it's going to be easy to get back.
Is made out of floor
to get past Walker Buehler, to get past Clayton Kershaw, to get past
that big
Dustin May, to get past any of these guys. It's going to be tough.
Yep.
I think Will Smith is really just an underrated weapon. Underrated weapon. I think the Dodgers have just assembled probably top to bottom the most complete team. The most complete baseball team that I have seen in
forever.
I want to say ever. In my life of watching baseball, but I don't know if that's necessarily true. From top to bottom, it looks so strong that I can't see them not winning their division.
Another one is like the whole. I mean, their bullpen, along with the rest of their league, their bullpen has been struggling. Kenley Jansen hasn't been the same, but
right. But they did upgrade it. I mean,
they did
with Brusdar Graterol, with Julio Urias, with
Urias
they re-signed Blake Trinan. They are, it's not a dominating bullpen, but it is a very good bullpen.
Not flashy, but it gives results. That's one thing. Yeah.
I mean, it is pretty flashy. Corey Knievel is on there now.
I totally forgot about that. Yeah, that makes sense. That changes my opinion of it.
A while.
There's quite a few very strong arms in that bullpen. So I think I definitely think it is the most complete team top to bottom that I've seen in at least quite some time.
Next, obviously, I think the Padres will finish second. I don't think they'll be good enough to pass the Dodgers. However, I think they'll be good enough to clinch a wild card spot.
I agree. They'll also be they'll probably be the first wild card spot. Although aren't they?
I am in the same boat.
All right.
Are they doing the playoffs differently this year?
At the moment, it's still normal playoffs.
Oh, it is up in the air as things stand.
Yeah.
They'll be one. I think they'll be the first. If the playoffs are the same, then they'll be the first wild card spot. They'll be hosting the wild card game.
That makes sense to me.
Third, I think the Giants, with a full season, I think they'll finish third. I liked what I saw last year, and I think they'll finish third in the division with some promise. Jared?
All right, hear me out. So if you guys have noticed with the Diamondback scenario, whenever they are expected to do absolutely terrible, they end up pulling wins out of their rear ends, and then they're good. But then everyone starts placing expectations on them, and then they crap themselves. There's no expectations on them, so therefore I think they'll have a mediocre season. I think they'll get third place.
That's a wow. I totally think. Yeah, that's interesting.
I mean, not a lot of basis there other than conjecture, but I like it. I like the boldness.
Doesn't matter.
I'll talk about the Diamondbacks in a sec, but I'm also thinking Giants at third. I'm a big fan of their offseason. I think they had an excellent fringe-worthy offseason.
They did.
And, they've assembled a squad that, while it isn't, again, flashy, I do think that it's solid and it will produce around a 500 record, which I think will be good enough to get them the third spot for sure.
Okay.
And then obviously coming in fourth, I would have Arizona. I think Mad Bum is still pretty dominant in some games.
It's weird not seeing
it's definitely weird. I think at the trade deadline, I think he might be shipped off if he's performing really well.
Forgot your English again. Oh, by the way, can I change my prediction? I think the Rockies are obviously going to win the division. No, I'm just kidding. But they'll get. I think the Giants will get 4. I think it's going to be like the two of them are going to be close. Like they'll win record. I think the Giants and Diamondbacks, but I think that they'll be either way. I think they're neither one of them will be making the playoffs, but I think they'll probably be hovering around maybe a little bit under 500.
Alex, what are your thoughts?
I have the Diamondbacks at fourth as well, but I have them for a little bit of a different reason. I think that their roster is actually is quite good. I think they've been overlooked quite a bit. I think Zach Gallen is going to finish probably top 5 in NL Cy Young voting. I think he's just absolutely brilliant. I think Mad Bum is bad, in my personal opinion. I just don't think he's very good anymore. But I do think though what they did to acquire Caleb Smith for Starling Marte was a good way to go about things. And Luke Weaver is always a perennial breakout candidate to me. I'm a big fan of their rotation. What I'm not a big fan of is their bullpen. They added Tyler Clippard and they added Joakim Soria to an already just really terrible bullpen.
I remember them. They were both names back in the mid 2015. Either way,
I mean, they both had excellent 2020 seasons, but I never really liked a lot of stock on them.
Yeah.
But what I do also like about this team is, they still have Ketel Marte. They still have, he's not anywhere near as good as he was with the Angels, but they have Cole Calhoun as a bit of a defensive upgrade in the outfield. They have David Peralta, who is always pretty decent. They've also got quite a few very, very interesting prospects coming down the pipe. Pavin Smith is an interesting first base prospect. There's Dalton Varsho, who just plays everywhere, and he's got a great bat. He came up a little bit towards the end of the 2020 season. They've obviously got, that slew of outfield prospect depth that can just absolutely be terrifying with Alec Thomas and is it Christian Robinson?
I believe it's Christian Robinson.
Either way, they have these very, very strong. I mean, I love the organization. I think they do a wonderful job with the cards they're dealt. I'm a big fan of their front office brass. I just don't think that the bullpen and the lineup are strong enough to finish over a well-rounded team such as the Giants.
Yeah.
You look at the Giants rotation. They added DeSclafani. They got Gossman back. Obviously, they have quite a few interesting guys to watch going forward in that rotation. The lineup is pretty good. Not anything, again, nothing flashy, but it's all right. And the bullpen, they've added a great deal of depth to. So I definitely think the Giants will finish over the Diamondbacks. I think it will be close. But
yeah,
we'll see. We will have to wait and see.
And then all we got left is the Colorado Rockies.
They blew it up. They got to
They need to fully blow it up, even though they might. The GM and the owner say they're gonna not have a full rebuild. I do believe Trevor Story and or Charlie Blackmon are shipped off at the trade deadline for money and also prospects for the future for the Rockies.
Yeah. Oh, and where was Soria last year? Sorry.
He was with the Athletics.
I remember
White Sox.
White
Sox.
Yeah, it was White Sox.
He bounced around the AL Central for a little while. I mean, I was never a fan of him just because, like, every time I watched him play, he imploded all over the mound. So,
I mean, he had a really substantial year last year. He really did. No, he was with the Athletics. I was wrong again.
You
might have some bad luck watching him, Jared. Because whenever you watch him,
I am a gent. I will take pride in that.
All right, and Alex, your thoughts on the Rockies?
What is there to say anymore?
Yeah,
what a dumpster fire of an organization.
There it is. That's what we're looking for.
No, they are pathetic, and they're bad at posturing, and I just can't believe that they traded Nolan Arenado for pittance.
They paid $50 million to take him away.
Not piss them off, and they failed miserably.
Yeah, whatever. All right, now we're really pathetic.
Now moving to the NL Central. We're moving on from Nolan Arenado. I have the St. Louis Cardinals.
Back. I don't see how you could.
And the Cubs are just basically took on Heath Hembree. They just picked off some former Phillies, and they traded away John Lester. And
they did.
The John Lester is on the Nationals.
Well, they didn't trade him.
He was a free agent, but he left. And they're significant. And they traded away Yu Darvish for basically nothing to the Padres.
Oh, okay. Well, I was about to say it's going to be a dogfight between the Cardinals and Cubs, but I do feel like there's going to be magic with the
far
Cubs.
From that.
So you believe St. Louis is number one?
I was originally leaning Chicago, but then I learned about what you guys were saying, so it's St. Louis. So, but before I move on, you guys remember when Lester was a Red Sox?
Those were the days.
Good old times.
All right, Alex. Obviously, St. Louis. Yeah. The funny thing is, I used to live in Illinois for 7 years, and where we lived, you were either a Chicago fan or a St. Louis fan. And when I started becoming this was right after I moved there in 2007. So I didn't know the Phillies kind of existed. They were kind of on the other side of the world, that seemed to me. But as I became that Cardinals fan, that started changing, and I came back, and then they just flipped roles. It was amazing. But coming in number two, I believe we would be the Brewers. They made improvements. I mean, they're number two. I believe Jackie Bradley Jr. is a great. Let me move you guys back down to right here. There we go. Jackie Bradley Jr. was a great addition, in my opinion, for the price they got. I believe they'll stay at number two in the division. However, I do not think they'll get the wild card. Jared, what do you think?
I agree. They won't get the wild card, but I don't think the Brewers will get second. So here's the thing. No matter what they've done, yes, I do think the Cubs will get second. No matter what they've done, I feel like the Brewers, like their hitting core has just been Christian Yelich and then eventually guys who catch fire eventually. Like the only consistent hitting piece that I've noticed has been Christian Yelich, but he got late in 2019 and then their runs cross dipped. Like I feel like Yelich was just that piece that was carrying him, and by the way, when he was with Miami, I knew he was good. I just didn't realize he could be that good. But like we faced him 19 times a year like when he was actually healthy. But he also had guys around him like Stanton and Ozuna.
So remember, the Phillies had the opportunity to trade for Yelich or Stanton. They had the offer on the table, decided not to pull the trigger.
Here's the thing: Stanton's contract is extremely fat. I get why they didn't bring him, but I think they should have gone for Yelich. I agree.
Stanton's still pretty good. He hit that first home run of last year.
Stanton.
He's still there.
Nothing against Stanton. It's just his contract is off. It's just
that is really true. Yeah.
It is
that's true.
We already have that one of those contracts on the team. So the Cubs, I feel like they end up just pulling stuff out of their total. Like 2015, I don't think anyone expected them to be good, and then they ended up going to the NLCS.
Yeah.
So then, I mean, yes, Chicago's kind of, but I mean, I feel like David Ross is he's a better,
really decent. He's like a Brad Miller, or like a future, like Brad Miller. I think will be a great coach, possibly a manager in the future. Alex, what do you think is going to be number 2 in the NL Central?
I wasn't done.
I also have the
sorry, Jared.
You're good. It happens. So I mean, again, the Brewers hitting core just hasn't had stability in a long time.
Yeah.
I'm since 2008 maybe. Like I feel like their hitting core hasn't been stable since. Like it's just I need to see consistency from them. Like their pitching, Alex, you're right. Like they're a pitching factor. I'm not worried about their pitching. Their bullpen has been a little over the past couple of years. They burnt out Josh Hader maybe, but I just need their hitting core to be more consistent. I feel like the Cubs, if they snap out of their underachieving skid, which I believe they did with David Ross now, I think they'll get second, and maybe they'll be in the second wild card. So I mean, this division is the middle of the pack is going to be, other than the Pirates, I'm expecting a lot from all of these.
Yep. Alex, what are your thoughts?
I'm also on Team Brewers for this one. But for many different reasons. So I think I understand the point that you're trying to make about the hitting core, but they did add, Colton Wong, Jackie Bradley Jr. They added, they added Daniel Vogelbach towards the end of last year. Not to say that Daniel Vogelbach is, some prolific bat, but you also just can't forget that they have Keston Hiura, which, just one of the very, very talented bats of the 2017 draft class. It feels like forever ago.
That seems like forever.
It just feels like forever ago. But just a very talented bat. He's had 2 really great seasons. Obviously, Christian Yelich exists. Obviously also Jackie Bradley Jr. and Lorenzo Cain. It's going to make for a really strong outfield defense. And Abisail Garcia is also still there.
Is Moustakas still on the Brewers?
No, he's with the Reds.
That's right.
So, it's not that they have a very strong offense. It's more that they have a fine offense and a ridiculous bullpen and a ridiculous rotation. Brandon Woodruff, Freddie Peralta, and Corbin Burns are going to have very excellent years, in my opinion. And I really hope Brent Suter gets a shot at the rotation. I think Josh Lindblom is expected to take a step forward, and obviously, Josh Hader and the rest of the Brewers bullpen are just due to be absolutely insane, alongside, of course, the airbender in Devin Williams. So I'm very excited to see their pitching staff compete this year, and I think that it will be enough to secure them the second spot in their division. Not necessarily a wild card. I don't think they're that good, but I think that they are certainly good. Their pitching is going to carry them a long way, I believe.
All right, number 3, I would have to have the Cubs. They're still a little bit better than the Reds, but I think they're a couple years maybe of getting some more prospects up and maybe a couple more getting some contracts off the book. Chris Bryant, still that big question mark. Will he be traded? Will he not be traded? Will he get injured? Will he not get injured? There's so many things. I think Chris Bryant, if the Cubs are not doing well, will be shipped off for a lot of prospects, and I think that would make the Cubs better in the long run. Better than the short term.
Do you guys remember the old name Jimmy Nelson from the Brewers?
Of course. He's with the Dodgers now.
Yep, he's in their organization, and he got hurt again. So third place for me will be the Brewers. I get it. I definitely think they're a little bit ahead of the Reds in terms of development. I feel like Cincinnati's got the hitting core. Their pitching is still a giant question mark, but since they've also haven't exactly had luck go their way in quite a while. I don't know if they've ever recovered from the 2012 choke against the Giants, but
no, don't remind me of that game.
No, it was they were up 2-0 and they lost the last 3. Yep. So and then they got wrecked in the wild card game by the Pirates the next year, but
that was a great game.
If they're, yeah, it was. But the Brewers, I definitely just feel like are still maybe a step ahead. Again, the middle three are just I'm not confident at all in the middle three. I definitely think the Cardinals will win the division and the Pirates will be in last place, but the middle three is up in the air.
Yeah. Alex, who do you think's going to place number trace?
I have the Reds. I think the Reds are being severely underrated in this podcast. They have a really, really strong lineup. I don't think that you can even come close to underrating Nick Castellanos and Jesse Winker.
Oh, I totally forgot he was there.
Alongside, obviously, Joey Votto is always a perennial walk drawer. Eugenio Suarez, Mike Moustakas, I think my headphones just died.
We can still hear you.
We can still hear you.
Okay, you can still hear me? You got me?
Oh, yes.
You're with me? Okay, perfect. A very, very strong lineup. I believe probably outside of the Cardinals, the best lineup in their division. But then you also have to look at, the rotation is still strong enough. They still have Sonny Gray. They still have Luis Castillo. Luis Castillo, by the way, being one of the best pitchers in baseball probably for the next few years. You also just have to look at that bullpen. I mean, Amir Garrett is still there. Sean Doolittle was added. Michael Lorenzen, if he doesn't work out as a starter, will probably shift the bullpen. So, they still have a strong enough team to compete in this very weak division.
Yeah.
I don't think you can go on underrating them. I think that they are actually quite strong in terms of, what they will do in their own division. Outside of that division, I still think they're quite weak, and I think it's pathetic that they didn't continue adding this year. Instead, they tried to subtract.
Yeah, and for fourth, I would have to put the Reds. My 2 through 4, I think, are going to be separated within 3 games of each other. The Reds, I think the only reason I put them down here at fourth was just how bad they did with their shortstop pursuit in free agency this year. They missed out on Didi, and instead of Didi, they traded for the Phillies, 40-man. I mean, a Rule 5 draft guy from the Yankees, and I think who did they end up signing in the end? Was it
Didi with us, right?
Yeah, Didi signed with us. Alex, do you remember who the Reds signed as a shortstop?
They didn't actually sign anybody as a shortstop. So
wow,
pathetic. It's going to be interesting. It's probably going to be, who is it? The guy that plays like every position ever, Kyle Farmer.
It's probably Kyle Farmer. Probably.
I was about to say Marwin Gonzalez, but
it's either that or Jose Garcia, one of their top prospects.
Jared, who do you think is going to be fourth?
Cincinnati again. Yeah, again, the middle 3 is going to be extremely tight. I don't have any confidence with my guesses on this. I think it's going to be it's going to be really close between the 3. Again, St. Louis definitely 1, Pittsburgh definitely 5, but Cincinnati's, again, it's nothing against them. It's just I feel like luck has not gone their way. Like either everybody gets injured or everyone starts underachieving, but it's always something like that. And then like maybe I don't know, their luck is like the Indiana Pacers. It's like all of us, they're doing pretty well, and then all of a sudden someone like Nick Castellanos gets struck by lightning or something like that. God forbid.
That would be
except with Victor Oladipo, Joey Votto again. Yeah, you're right. I feel like he's not the same hitter as he once was, but yes, he's definitely an on-base guy. But he's getting a little bit older, and now he's lacking that sort of like, I feel like he hasn't been hitting well as he used to. And by the way, Mitchell, what the heck is your profile picture?
The Flyers.
I cannot. That's no. I mean like on your drive.
Oh, that's the Philly Liberty for Philly logo.
Oh, it is. Yeah. Now I can see it.
All right, Alex. I assume you probably got the Cubs here, unless you got
do have the Cubs here. The Cubs are bad, but they are not as bad as the Pirates. So yes, I have the Cubs here.
And then last place, we got the black and gold of Pittsburgh.
All of their teams are actually black and gold.
Well, that's pretty impressive.
And then, as a wise man known as Steve Linkowski says, these guys are absolutely terrible. The city doesn't give a crap about them anymore.
Hey, yikes.
Mitchell, I'm assuming you know who Steve Linkowski is, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Alex, what are your thoughts on the Pirates?
My thoughts on the Pirates, they are bad. They are just very, very bad. They have a minimal payroll. The veterans that they do have left are guys that, you know, they'll probably try to ship off at some point. They already did with Josh Bell.
Wait, where'd he go?
The
Nationals.
Oh, right. I forgot. I have not been paying attention much to this offseason, clearly.
And, you know, Gregory Polanco will hopefully find a new spot. I hope he has a good year. Good
Alex,
luck to him.
That's the guy I was talking about in chat that I was saying that I mistakenly named Marte. I'm thinking of Polanco.
Oh, Gregory Polanco. Yeah. Gregory Polanco is very good. Always, you know, has great peripherals on the year. Just needs to find some luck here and there.
I just think his contract too. I think we were talking about it earlier. How like I wanted the Phillies to kind of look out him, but just this contract is just a little seems hard to move unless the Pirates get little in return.
No, not really. He's owed annual average value wise. He's not owed too much. But you know, I think they'll just continue to try and maximize value for the guys that they have, and they'll enter a full-on rebuild. At least I hope they do. Goodness, for their sake. So you know, we'll see them being quite a fire-selling team. So I might predict
Chad Kuhl, Polanco.
Chad Kuhl. You guys remember? So that this kind of sounds similar to a guy that we used to have, Andres Blanco. Oh man, good times.
Those are pretty good years.
No, those were not good years for us. Rebuild.
All right, now we get to the drum roll.
I could probably name you more guys from the rebuild era than that are good. Because like I started watching the Spurs in like really the 2011, like around 2011, and that's like when the Phillies, that was their last good year.
That was the peak.
And then now our strongest division, I believe, in all of Major League Baseball. We got the National League East Division. Jared seems to disagree with that.
I think the NL West is probably stronger.
I think it's just more up and down talent is where I'm getting my opinion from.
Okay, that makes sense.
But number one, with the NL East crown, I am not going to be overly optimistic like I'm always am with Jared. I'm going to have that team from Atlanta getting the victory. Number one.
Oh man. So what do you have to? So here's the thing. I was going to say Lowell Mets, but then I've realized their whole, their luck. It hasn't always been good. I mean, maybe it'll change since the Wilpons aren't involved. Maybe they're just bad. I feel like it's a toss-up between the Braves and the Mets, and I think the Braves are going to end up taking it despite their awful pitching.
Drew Smiley, remember the $13 million man?
I forgot about that. That's it. Their bullpen. I mean, just like the rest of the NL East and really the rest of the league, their bullpen is awful. So I mean, so is the rotation. But
Alex, who do you think is the winner?
New York Mets. I think
the Mets.
Put in Lowell Mets. Come on.
Up and down.
It's only tradition.
The more complete of the teams in the East. I think their biggest flaw is probably their bullpen, but I think that rotation eventually, when Syndergaard gets back, is pretty darn good. And the lineup is strong. I just think that their defense combined with their bullpen is not exactly. That's where I could see them faltering. But ultimately, I think that they are up and down the more complete of the teams in this division.
Yeah, that definitely that 5-man with Walker, DeGrom, Carrasco. I totally forgot he was there. Syndergaard when he comes back, and then
Stroman,
that's the other one. They have a really strong one. However, number two is clinching the second wild card of the NL. I have the Philadelphia Phillies. I am really optimistic, but from what I'm buying the hype train of spring training, this bullpen, Matt Moore, Chase Anderson looking really good. I think the Phillies will come within, I think, 2 or maybe even 1 game of the Atlanta Braves of that number 1 spot. Jared, you obviously don't disagree. You probably have Lowell Mets.
I don't disagree. That's buddy. I do disagree. But here's what I got. So I think the second wild card spot will probably be won by the Cubs or maybe the Mets. I think the Mets will be finishing second. Mm-hmm. Again, the Phillies, I just feel like their September is their new May, because you remember their rebuild years. Their April was usually good, and then their May was historically bad all the time. And here's the thing with spring training, the hype train. 1, it's spring training. Usually doesn't matter. 2, if I remember correctly, the 2013 Red Sox had a god-awful spring training, but they ended up winning the World Series. So that's proof that the spring training means nothing. I mean...
Is this who you want there?
it's just so Lowell Met. I definitely think that it's going to be a tough top 3 spots within the division, maybe even 4 if the Marlins actually play like they did last year.
Alex,
I have also the Philadelphia Phillies in the second spot, primarily because I think the Braves were very nonchalant, I suppose, in their offseason approach. I think the additions of Charlie Morton and Drew Smyly are fine, I suppose. But they're two very injury-prone guys who, Charlie Morton had a very bad regular season in 2020. Drew Smyly pitched 20-some innings in 2020 and somehow garnered $13 million. I will never pretend to even come close to understand why, but, it happened. I do think that, ultimately the Braves have a solid 1 through 4 in their lineup. You could put Travis d'Arnaud in there. I don't think he repeats the year that he had in 2020. I don't think Dansby Swanson repeats as good of a year. I mean, his peripherals are always pretty decent. I don't think he repeats the impactful year that he had. And Ozzie Albies, I will stand by this forever and always, has a career 109 WRC plus. I don't think he is as good a player as a lot of Braves fans believe him to be, especially because he is just not a good left-handed hitter. He should just hit righty all the time. But it is what it is. I think that the ultimate downfall for the Braves will be I think their defense, honestly, is not very good. You have, Dansby Swanson, who is not the defender that they thought he was when the Diamondbacks took him first overall.
He was a first overall pick.
Oh yeah.
I don't really pay attention I only pay attention to the NBA and the NFL drafts because those are the only ones that really don't take forever, and then the NHL one I never know what it is. So,
but they always so his glove was very highly touted.
Yeah,
prospect. But he is just not the defender.
Falling off. Literally.
On top of that, if Austin Riley is their starting third baseman, good God!
Oh God, no.
Ozzie Albies is a good second baseman, which will help make up for some of the lost value over on the left side of the infield. But with Freddie Freeman getting a little older, he's never been known really for being an elite first baseman. He's a good defender, but he's getting older. Marcell Ozuna is a terrible left fielder. Christian Pache is a great center fielder, but not much more than a glove right now, at least.
We got Jake Lamb.
I mean, sure, they have Jake Lamb, but Jake Lamb is more of a first baseman now than anything.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure he'll amount to much, except for a glorified bench role. I mean, he could really have a great year. He could. Offensively, he started to put things together with the Athletics. So we'll see what happens there. But I think mostly right now he's probably starting off the bench. And I think their rotation is it's very injury prone. It's very risky. They really did not put a lot of stock into depth. And I don't understand why fans are not more worried about that. But it is what it is. Good luck to them. But as for the Phillies, who I have here, I think they did put a great amount of stock into depth. And I don't necessarily think they are done in terms of adding non-roster invitees. They still have 2 spots in camp now that Odorizzi is off the board. That could be cleared up within the next few days. So we'll see what happens. But I think ultimately you're going to see a much improved bullpen out of the Phillies, which ultimately is going to complement this offense far more than it did last year. And also, I think worst comes to worst, even if Chase Anderson and Matt Moore are to suck, you're left with the rotation that still ranked among the top 10 in all of baseball in 2020, being, that of Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler, Zach Eflin, Spencer Howard, and Vince Velasquez. So that's the worst case scenario, right? Alongside a decent, not great bullpen, and a very strong lineup, a lineup that was incredibly dynamic last year and that will probably continue to be this year. I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, and then obviously for me, number 3, I have the Mets. But the only reason I have them at 3 instead of possibly 2 or 1 is just with Noah Syndergaard, one of their most dominant pitchers, being out till almost June. I think the Mets will dig themselves into a hole that I think they will not be able to dig themselves out of. I think they'll just get too deep in the standings, or their pitching just won't click as some people think it would. And I think they're just gonna be in third. It's gonna be a close division, but I just don't think they get that second place.
All right. Man. Here's the thing. So I remember the Nationals were making progress, but I think the Phillies will still end up getting third place by a hair. Maybe like the Nationals or Marlins will be sneaking up. Again, this division I feel like is up for grabs this year, especially with all the talent that came over here. But I just don't trust the bullpen. It's been terrible. It was historically bad last year, which I mean, it's always been our downfall, and it's never been addressed. Yes, Archie Bradley and like Jose Alvarado. I feel like we still definitely need a little bit more because like I feel like we're still relying on people that we had to last year, but. I feel like the hitting core was too inconsistent last year. Again, I should probably just stop watching games because last year, whenever I watched they were terrible. The hitting core was terrible. It's the pitching that was carrying the team, and the rotation looks good. But again, I really hope I'm wrong and I have to eat a giant bag of manure. But I can actually see the Phillies even finishing fourth or maybe even fifth if they get unlucky.
Alex, I assume you probably have the Braves in third.
Wow, I just think that was a scathing review of the Phillies.
I'm no pessimist. I'm sorry.
I think the Braves, for all the reasons I listed before, are going to finish third, and I think it will be close. I do think that the Braves and the Phillies will be battling it out to the end, but I think the Braves will probably win, probably around 85 games, while the Phillies win 86, or maybe it's even upwards of that total. But I think that they will be very, very close towards the end of the year.
Again, Alex, I hope I'm wrong. Like, well, I'm just.
I understand. I understand.
Whenever I'm optimistic, something bad happens. Like
sure.
I was optimistic about
you're not going to expect much. I understand.
And then I'm just gonna do my fourth and fifth now. Obviously, I have the Nationals. I don't trust their starting rotation, especially of what happened last year. And then Josh Bell, he might be a good hitter, but he did not have. He had that huge cold streak last year. He didn't. You added Kyle Schwarber.
Well, because Pittsburgh is Pittsburgh. So I mean,
yeah.
now that he's good.
And then obviously in last place, I have Derek Jeter in the Marlins. Jared, what's your 4 and 5?
All right, so fourth is again the National. Again, I don't know. I really don't trust. Like this is going to be like the middle of the pack, like the middle three in the NL Central. It's going to be crazy, but with all five, like it's going to be crazy. It should, again, we've said this for the past couple of years now, but now that like all the talent has, I feel like gone to the NL East, I feel like it's going to be a lot closer of a dogfight. There's going to be there's probably going to be one team that falls apart and collapses and finishes like 10, 20 games below 500. But again, it's going to be a close race, especially between the not really especially between anybody. It's going to be especially close between all five of them. But just the Nationals, they've gotten some hitting back, like they've gotten some pitching. Like their starting pitching has always been good, but their bullpen has had awful starts, and although last year it was meh, but if remember in 2019, the year they won the World Series, their bullpen ERA in the first 2 months was over 7, but that was us last year too. So if their bullpen is fixed, their bullpen does fine. It's really, as I see it, it's just Daniel Hudson carrying a bunch of scrubs, but I feel like the Nationals will hover right around where the Phillies are, and then the Marlins will be a little bit below that as well.
Alex, what would be your 4 and 5?
My 4 is the Nationals. The Nationals are very bad. They have a bad bullpen. Their rotation is very old. In order for them to finish anywhere above 4th, Steven Strasburg would need to come back and be absolutely excellent, which I believe he's – how old is he now? 32?
I think he's 33.
He was drafted in
I think he's 32. Last year was his age 31 season. So this would be 30. So I believe he's entering his age 32 season. Patrick Corbin took a massive step back.
2009, that's when he was.
And he is going to continue to do so. Max Scherzer, is still great, but he's not the Max Scherzer of old. I think John Lester is absolute garbage, just not good at all. And then their 5th starter is still up in the air. It could be Eric Fetty. It could be Austin Voth, all of whom are just not good. So the rotation is fine. It's not what it used to be, but it is fine. The bullpen is straight up bad. Daniel Hudson is not good. The only decent reliever that can even be mentioned is Tanner Rainey. And that even is a stretch. He is still very unproven. just very, very bad depth all around. The lineup is fine. It requires Kyle Schwarber and Josh Bell having complete 180 seasons. But, I don't necessarily see that happening. And even then, they don't really take the pressure off of Juan Soto because they are both left-handed hitters. So they will probably not be hitting right behind Soto. Trey Turner far exceeded my expectations last year. He's still not a very good defender at shortstop, and they don't even have a third baseman yet outside of Carter Kieboom, who is bad at the position and who might just be a bad player in general. Starlin Castro is okay at second base, but that is like the only replacement level defender they have on the infield, and the catching situation is just even worse. Yan Gomes is bad behind the plate. Alex Avila can't swing a bat. I mean, it's a bad.
I remember when good though. Avila.
It's a bad mix of players. And as for the Marlins, I like the Marlins. I think their lineup is really bad. Starling Marte is going to harm the Phillies for years and years to come. But the lineup is just not very good. The rotation is good. It's very good and very young. But the bullpen is absolutely abysmal. I'm very shocked that they did not do more to up that bullpen. Anthony Bass is a great get for them. But man, that thing looks really bad. It looks really bad. Especially given just the I don't even know, the lack of major league replacement they have ready to go. It does not look good. So they look really bad. But I also would not be surprised to see the Marlins finish over the Nats. I think the Nats look absolutely terrible. Truly, from top to bottom. I can't pick out something that's actually good about the Nats. The defense is bad. The lineup is good, but not great. And the rotation just is very, very, I don't want to say mediocre, but it's aging. It's super aging. And I don't think that's something that you can trust.
All right. Now,
sorry.
Mitchell, you can.
I was shaking my head earlier because I was trying to see if John. I saw a familiar name with Steven Strasburg. He was married to a girl with the last name Lackey, and I was thinking, is she related to John Lackey? And then I realized that John Lackey is a dick. He filed divorce. He was the one who filed divorce from his first wife while she was battling cancer.
Yeah.
That's not the time to do it.
All right, moving on. We got NL playoffs. I think obviously the Dodgers will win over 100 games. And
if you don't do that, then that's pathetic.
Yeah, and then obviously my second seed, I would probably have St. Louis due to their division not being as tough as what, say, my top seed would be probably Atlanta. And then wild card 1, I obviously have the Padres. And then wild card 2, in my opinion, will be the Phillies. Coming out, I believe the Dodgers will continue their hot streak and make it to the World Series. Sharon, what do you?
All right, pretty much copy paste the entire thing you have except for wild card 2. I think will either be the Cubs or the Mets, and I'm going to go with the Cubs.
All right.
Maybe by hair. I actually can see the Mets doing it. Again, their luck has not been favorable, and so I think the Cubs will probably get the second wild card spot.
Alex, what do you think?
Cubs,
yep, I'm copy paste what you have except Mets in the 3 seed.
Good thing that we are all basically on the same page. The Dodgers should. If they don't make it to the World Series, I don't see how next year.
Then it'll be we'll see another hilarious video.
Yeah.
Oh geez, that would be pathetic.
We should just be able to speed through a little bit. AL West, I think the Astros will still win the division. It's kind of a weird division. It's kind of in between. But I think the Astros still have some talent there to carry them to the 1 seed over Oakland. And then I believe 3, I think the Angels with Shohei Ohtani. Hopefully he's healthy for the whole season. I think they'll do pretty well. Anthony Rodon and obviously New Jersey's own Mike Trout. And then other than that, I probably would have Seattle. I'll have Seattle, honestly, in at 4. And then, which team I'm forgetting? Who's the last? Texas. The Rangers, I think they have done very little. I just don't think. I think Seattle's farther ahead of them in their rebuild than the Rangers are just starting out.
So, by the way, I was saying that Mike Trout's the season ticket holder for the Eagles. I'm really proud of him. But Anyway, so I think one, obviously Houston, because they've got the most talent out of all of them, and then Oakland. I feel like they're a perennial wild card contender, and I do think they will be getting one of the wild card spots. That I have to figure out while we're going through this whole list.
Mm-hmm.
The 3 seed will definitely be the Angels because like their talent will get them. I don't think they'll break five. Like if they do break 500, it'll be like two games or so. They'll be like 83-79, maybe like 85 wins at best. The 4th seed, I feel, will actually be Texas because I mean, even though luck isn't how you said Ramgers, by the way.
Thank you.
Texas hasn't. I feel like has a little bit better on the lucky side. Like Seattle has just been terrible, and also going back to like with Texas, I feel like even like during their darker days, with the exception of that one period where I think it was when they first moved to Arlington. They've always like when they weren't making the playoffs, they were just mediocre, and I feel like that. And then Seattle's actually been terrible, so I think they'll be.
They got James Paxton though.
They did get James Paxton back, but that one pitcher is not going to solve their entire issues. I mean, yes, it looks a bit better on paper, but that's the thing; it's on paper. And yeah, Alex.
I have the Astros also winning the West.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have the Angels.
Oh,
I think the Angels. Not necessarily have made substantial enough improvement. I just think they will perform a lot better than they did last year. And also, the rotation is marginally better. And the bullpen still kind of sucks, but at least they have a closer now in Raisel Iglesias.
Yeah.
And they have a real shortstop now too, in terms of Jose Iglesias. So they
got Jason Hayward too. Jason Hayward.
You mean Dexter Fowler?
Oh, Dexter. I always get those two mixed up. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Andrelton Simmons was a pretty good shortstop as well.
He's with the Twins now.
He's with the Twins now. Yeah.
I thought like when you said got a real shortstop, I thought you were like implying like that they haven't had one in a long time.
No, but they just he graduated, so they needed a real shortstop.
I remember when Simmons was an Atlanta Brave and we had to worry about him.
I mean, he wasn't a very good hitter at that point. Anyway, number 3, my hottest take, I have Seattle.
Oh,
because they have a metric ton of talent that's ready to come to the majors. I think Emerson Hancock will probably make it to the majors this year. Logan Gilbert, Jared Kelenic is going to be insane. In tandem with guys like Kyle Lewis, Shed Long, I think is going to have a great year. Mitch Haniger's back. There's a whole bunch of exciting things going on in Seattle. They also added James Paxton, which I feel like everybody forgets about. And he's back home, which is great for him. They've done some things, and I think that they have done more than Oakland has. Oakland I have 4th. Oakland added Elvis Andrus and re-added 2 bullpen arms and added Sergio Romo, and that's it. So I think that they actually look very weak in terms of what they actually are going to put out this year. They have they re-added Mike Fiers, but the rotation just does not look great. Luzardo is going to be fun to watch. AJ Puck probably is not a starter anymore. So it's not exactly what you would want if you're an Athletics fan, in my opinion. And then the Rangers at 5th. But I think those bottom 3 will be battling all year. And then, the Astros and Angels are kind of going to run away with it.
Elvis Andrus in a Seattle. Did you say in Oakland or Seattle unit?
Oakland.
Oh, that just looks awful. I'm sorry. He was a longtime Ranger. He was part of the fun group that always goofed around.
Chris Davis in a Texas jersey is going to be cool, though.
Wait. He went to the Rangers?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Wait. Which Chris Davis? The A's Chris Davis?
The 247 Chris Davis. Yes. He's famous for hitting 247 in back-to-back seasons.
Wait. That's impressive. I mean, him in a ring. I mean, I actually forgot that he played with the Brewers before he went to Oakland. Also, the old Chris Davis, back when he was good, was with the Rangers, and then he played with the Orioles for a few years and was damn good. And then he fell off of a cliff, like a 2-mile-high cliff in production.
And he's still falling.
Now, this is my next fun division. I have to start here at 3. My really hot take is the Royals will finish 3rd. We got the Indians, and then we got obviously the Detroit Tigers in last. My hot take is with the Royals, they had a really quiet and a really awesome offseason, in my opinion. Carlos Santana, Phillies legend in the clubhouse. And then we got Andrew Benintendi.
Benintendi.
Thank you, Jared. You're always
there. Benintendi.
Yeah, and then they also re-signed a lot of good players. I think they're a lot better than Indians.
Hosmer.
Eric Hosmer, yeah.
No, but he's still with the Padres. But I mean, back when he was a Royal.
With the Indians, they traded away, obviously, Francisco Lindor. They got a great Mets player from it, but I'm going to say the Indians, they're just not there. I think they're either going to go out next free agent seasons for the next 2 years, or they're just going to kind of blow it up quietly. You got Shane Bieber. And then, obviously, the Tigers. I think they're almost there. But I think they got a couple more years. Casey Mize, once he's fully ready, and like probably 2 free agents seasons from now, I think the Tigers probably move their way up to round 3 or 2 in the division. And obviously, number 2, I'm going to say it's going to be the White Sox. I think they're going to be it's a very close, but I think the Twins will come out in the top, and the White Sox will be number 1, possibly number 2 wild card.
Copy paste, by the way. So I originally was going to have the Indians a little bit higher, but then I completely forgot they sold off all their pieces. So the Tigers are, the Tigers. They're back to the 2003 form. I was also going to say earlier that Sergio Romo went across the Bay because he used to be a longtime Giant, but then he did bounce around the league for a little bit, and now he's back at the Bay. But the Twins are, I think they look the best. I feel like they've just had the best, although it is an odd year, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Or wait, which year was it? It was the even year that was terrible for them, right?
Yes, it was.
So they're odd. So it is an odd year. So I think they'll probably win the division. It's going to be between them and the White Sox. One of them will be winning the AL Central, get like a 2 or 3 seed. The other one will be getting the first wild card spot, I think. So the White Sox, they're looking pretty good. The Royals, I honestly do miss their old core. It was really fun to watch them. And then Alex Gordon retired. He was a hell of a player for a little. He was definitely overlooked. He won yet another Gold Glove last year, but again, he retired. I honestly don't know why, but I always really liked him. But he was a nice clutch hitter. I mean, he was definitely the most well known for the world. I feel like the World Series home run in Game 1 that tied it.
Oh yeah.
And also, I feel like going back to Mike Fiers, I feel like maybe besides his 2 perfect games, I feel like he's either going to be the guy who for the long time was known as the guy who hit Giancarlo Stanton in the face, and the other one is that he was the one who ratted out the Astros for cheating. I'm pretty sure, wasn't it?
One of them, yeah.
One of the few of them, and then Danny Farquhar, I believe, is the other guy. He noticed it. Yeah, he was the guy who noticed it in game, but Fiers was actually on the team. But so it was. This is going to be, I feel like, a weaker division. It's going to be the Twins and Royals battling out, or Twins and White Sox battling out, and then the other 3 are going to be going for the. I feel like the Royals might be like closer to the White Sox, but Indians and Tigers, and the Indians are going to be and then the Tigers will be terrible.
Alex, what do you think?
I'll be back. My computer battery's low. I forgot my charger. So
all right, sounds good.
I have the White Sox up.
Oh, the White Sox.
I think that team, that bullpen is way too good. I think that they are in a really, really good spot, with Zach Birdie, Aaron Bummer, obviously, Jimmy Cordero. They just added Garrett Crochet, Jace Fry. I mean, they just have a metric ton of, and obviously Liam Hendricks, who they also added. I mean, metric ton of relief talent. I think the rotation looks totally fine.
Yeah.
Lucas Giolito heading it up. Dallas Keuchel, I don't think is, all as great as he was in 2020.
Yeah.
He is getting up there in age. But, Michael Kopech's coming back. They brought back Carlos Rodon, and obviously traded for Lance Lynn. So I think the rotation looks good. But I think that lineup is just, you have the reigning AL MVP. You have Tim Anderson. You have Nick Madrigal. You have, hopefully they call up.
What's his name? Nick Williams.
No. The first baseman whose name is slipping my mind, but obviously Yohan Moncada. They have just all of these, and Luis Robert, all of these really, really talented guys who just are ready to carry this team. I think to the top of this division, even though they did bring back Adam Eaton, which I think is ridiculous. I think the Twins come in at 2. The Twins did not do enough to upgrade their rotation, unfortunately. I just don't think it is as good as it could have been. I think they should have tried to bring back Jake Odorizzi.
They should have.
Not sure why they didn't. But they do have Kenta Maeda. They do have Barrios. They do have J.A. Happ now. They have Matt Shoemaker. But I wish they'd done a little bit more, especially because they don't have a lot of prospect depth to call from. Randy Dobnak rocks, but no frontline starter. Devin Smeltzer's no frontline starter. So they have guys to call on, but they're not that great. So I think that they'll lock up the second spot. I do think, though, that they will still hit a lot of home runs. And the bullpen's just also not that good, especially because Alex Colomé was their big ad, and I am just not an Alex Colomé fan.
Yeah.
I was not looking forward to the Phillies. I thought the Phillies would sign him. I'm glad they did not. But I'm just not a big fan of that bullpen either. Whereas the White Sox, I just see having so much more depth and reassurance on their roster. As for 3, I have the Indians. I do think that the Indians, even though they have sold themselves out, I do think that they are still a good team. I think that, especially with the outfield, it's funny, they sold their souls, but this outfield is better than any outfield they've fielded in, over the last 4 years. Josh Naylor was amazing in the postseason. Franmil Reyes, Eddie Rosario they added. They've got some guys. Jake Bowers might get a chance this year. They claimed Harold Ramirez from the Marlins. And they also got some pieces from that Mets trade. They really did. They got Andres Jimenez, and Ahmed Rosario could be playing center this year. Obviously they re-signed Cesar Hernandez.
That was a really good
Nolan
signing.
Jones could come up this year. Bobby Bradley has been nailing spring training. It's not a great team, but they still are the Indians. They still are an absolute pitching factory. They still have, a pretty decent bullpen. I feel like a lot of people forget Emmanuel Clase is still on this team. The guy that they got in return for Corey Kluber. He's still on this team. He still can throw 103 mile an hour cutters, which is just insane.
That is ridiculous.
There's also, the rotation still is not bad. Aaron Savali, Shane Bieber, obviously, Logan Allen, Tristan McKenzie. I mean, there are still quite a few really solid arms. Zach Plesac, how could I forget? Adam Plutko exists. They oh my gosh, I didn't even know this, but I'm looking at their roster right now. Cal Quantrill, who they got from the Padres, apparently at some point.
Francisco Mejia.
True. There's quite a few arms. No. It wasn't the Mejia trade. It was
that's the only trade I know.
That was the Brad Hand trade.
The Brad Hand. That's right.
What happened? How did they get Cal Quantrill? I have no idea. But either way, that's another depth arm. They do have quite a bit of depth when it comes to pitching. They always will. And of course, James Karinchak is the next big closer in baseball. I'm very excited for him. So I still think they'll be good. I have the Royals at 4. I think the Royals look really good as well. Like you said, quietly a very good offseason. I just don't think they've got enough gas in the tank to really go the full distance. And the Tigers at 5th, but I think that's going to drastically change once Tariq Skubal, Matt Manning, Casey Mize, once those guys are all MLB regulars and broken in, that is going to be a scary team. Spencer Torkelson,
Willie Castro,
Riley Green, just all of these really, really talented youngsters. So I'm excited for that for sure.
I just can't wait for this Tiger squad, especially in that first game of the spring training with Willie Castro going 458 off of Evan Nova. That was something.
I agree.
They will be something in a couple years. For AL East, this is a very obviously. I have the Yankees number 1, and then number 2. I'm very torn, but I think the Blue Jays will be number 2.
The Buffalo Blue Jays.
The Dunedin Blue Jays.
The Blue Jays. Wait, where's that closest to? Which city is that closest to?
Florida.
But where in Florida is Dunedin?
Dunedin is right. It's very near Clearwater. It's about
Tampa-ish area.
Yeah. All right, we'll call them the Tampa Blue Jays, or should we call them the St. Pete Blue Jays? No, the Rays are already St. Pete.
Yeah. Did I freeze? Oh no, we didn't. Okay.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay.
You're good.
Then
I'd be laughing if you froze.
Next, I would probably have the Rays. They got Chris Archer back. That just makes it worse for the Pirates fans, and they literally traded him away. Got couple players, and then decide, we'll take him back.
I hope Archer will do better for his.
I hope he does bad. The Rays, they need to spend some money. They were $5 to $10 million short of a World Series last year, in my opinion. And then obviously fourth, we have the Boston Red Sox. I think the Rays and the Red Sox will be really close. Red Sox had a really good end to the postseason. I mean off season this year. This year, and I think they would probably be pretty good. And then the Orioles, I would say they're pretty close with Rutschman coming up the ranks. They signed.
You want to spell that correctly, Mitchell?
I did. Oh, I need an I, don't I? Baltimore. There we go. With they got some prospects in the mix. I think they're almost there. They signed Freddie Galvis and Trey Mancini. Obviously, maybe I think they're in the same boat as the Tigers. Maybe even a little worse.
Yet, or is he still going through treatment?
No, he's good. He's back.
All right, that's good.
I think the Tigers and the Baltimore would be probably on the same ETA. Baltimore, I think, will be a year or two behind. Jared, what do you think?
Okay, so Yankees obviously going to be winning this, and they'll have the best record in the AL, maybe even win the AL. Although I've said Dodgers Yankees for the last few years, but I've gotten right at least one half of them right most of the time. Number two, I think will still be Tampa, despite, I mean, again, they no matter what, they found ways. Kevin Cash is a very underrated manager. Like the fact that he's had like guys with very limited parole and Blake Snell. He's actually led them, like they've done really well. A lot of people look past the Rays. I feel like more people will be expecting them, so we'll see how they do under that. But Kevin Cash is definitely a very underrated manager. He definitely has developed into like a better manager, like Joe Madden eventually did when he was in Tampa, and then now he's kind of past his expiration date, but not Cash. Cash is doing pretty well still. I think the 3 seed will actually be Buffalo, the Blue Jays. It'll be a tight margin between them and the Red Sox, who will be 4, and then Baltimore will be 5. Toronto, I feel like they're actually kind of making some progress with their rebuild, and then the Red Sox are selling off pieces. They've got some underrated pieces like Alex Verdugo, but again, nowhere near Mookie Betts, nowhere near the talent level that they had in 2018 when they won the World Series. And I feel like, and Ben, now that Benintendi's gone, they're selling off the killer bees. I wouldn't be surprised to see Bogarts, and I think they'll hang on to Devers. I wouldn't be surprised to see Bogarts go, because if you guys don't remember, he was actually part of the 2013 World Series team, so he's a bit on the older side as well, or at least older than like prospects. I think they might hang on to Devers, but I wouldn't be surprised if they get rid of my God, what's his face? Bogarts.
Yeah,
they get rid of him.
Are you sure Nick Pavetta's not going to have a Cy Young season for them?
Yes, I'm sure, Mitchell.
All right, Alex, what do you got?
Even if he
I
does,
guess I was wrong that the White Sox are my hottest take, because I think the Blue Jays are going to win the AL East.
Wow,
they'll do it pretty handily.
That's smoking hot.
That's burning.
I really don't think it's that hot of a take. I think the Yankees are fooling themselves if they think that 3 pitchers out of their 5 in their starting rotation have not pitched in 2 years. They have a combined total of 1 inning pitched over the last 3 or 2.5 years.
I know Tanaka's gone, but
so Luis Severino, Jameson Taillon, and Corey Kluber.
That's right. They got Taillon and Kluber.
Have not pitched in the last 2 years. Also, I just think that it's really silly that a team that's already injury prone has decided to go all in, especially a team that is so short on pitching depth. David Garcia and Clark Schmidt, who is now hurt, by the way, they both are not only rookie arms, and Michael King, I guess, exists, and so does Luis Sessa, and so does Jordan Montgomery, but Jordan Montgomery also has already had Tommy John surgery in his career and is not very good. I think that they're fooling themselves if they think that a team that has had so many issues with injuries over the last 3 years isn't going to have injury problems again, especially when they've gone out of their way to acquire injury-ridden players. I think Aaron Judge is always going to have a hard time staying healthy now. Giancarlo Stanton always going to have a hard time staying healthy. Obviously, if all of these guys stay healthy for the full year, my answer changes. I would put the Yankees up top. But in my personal opinion, I don't think that happens. I don't think their rotation stays alive with arms. I think it was a mistake, a huge mistake, not bringing Masahiro Tanaka back.
Yeah.
I think it was an even worse mistake that they've decided to stick with, an infield defense that, and I know I keep bringing up infield defense, but there's just so many bad infield defenses around the league.
Yeah.
Gio Urshela is fine at third base, but man, do they have a problem. DJ LeMahieu is getting older. He's a fine second baseman, but good Lord, Gleyber Torres is a terrible shortstop.
Say that again.
Is
a good hitter, but he's
not a very good first baseman. Gary Sanchez sucks behind the plate. And then their outfield
he's become a meme,
a catcher that doesn't catch. Aaron Hicks is their starting center fielder, and he is coming off again a really tough injury. That's the other thing. I mean, the lineup really does not impress me very much. It's Judge and Stanton who, when they're healthy, are obviously great. But, DJ LeMahieu, also an excellent contact hitter, finds the gaps. Gleyber has had some issues. Gio Urshela is only good because of Yankee Stadium. Luke Voigt, the same thing. These are guys, the Yankees have built their roster around their short porch, and that's a great strategy. But it only will take you so far. It's why they have not gotten very far in the postseason.
They also get 9-10 games at Fenway Park as well, and that's pretty much the Yankees. They've got short corners as well.
They also are in a division that has, to this point, been very, very lackluster. But the Blue Jays are coming for their crown. I mean, I truly believe that the Blue Jays, they need to upgrade the rotation again. But they will do so at the deadline, I believe.
I think
I think that they will wait to see who is available, but they will go after the top starter on the market, and they will get them because they have so much talent to deal from. They have an amazing farm system, so that's not an issue for them. So I think the lineup, a lineup that includes Vladdy Jr., 42 pounds down, Bo Bichette, Kevin Biggio, Teoscar Hernandez, who had an absolutely wild year. They just added George Springer. I mean, they need a left-handed hitter pretty badly, but that is a really good-looking lineup. I mean, where do you put them? But that lineup in general is very, very impressive. I think the bullpen speaks for itself. We saw it firsthand last year. Their bullpen is really, really good. The rotation needs work, but I think that it will be enough once they add a starter at the deadline to carry them past the Yankees. I truly believe so. I think the Rays will finish third. I think it will be close again between them and the Red Sox. And then I think the Red Sox will finish fourth and Baltimore fifth. Baltimore is going to be fun to watch, but I don't think they'll be very good.
So what's your 3, 4, and 5 again?
Rays, Red Sox,
Baltimore.
Thank you.
Baltimore will be fun. DL Hall will hopefully get the call. Adley Rutschman probably won't get the call this year because of service time, but we'll see. But I do think that they are going to be fun to watch in the near future, just not this year. They will stink again.
For the playoffs, I believe the Yankees rotation will stay healthy and everything else will stay healthy. They'll clinch the 1 seed. Behind them, I have the Twins, and then the Astros will clinch that 3 seed. Wild card 1 for me would have to be the Blue Jays. I would hop on the same boat as Alex here, but I just think the Yankees, just because of the Yankees, it's that common thing. But I do think the Blue Jays will make a Cinderella run. Even though they are a wild card, I think they'll go far in the playoffs. Seed number 2, obviously, I'll probably have the White Sox. Then obviously winning, I would say I don't think the Astros. I think the Astros might even lose first round but I think, in my honest opinion, that it's a tough decision, but I think the Twins get their act together and make a deal at the deadline, starting pitching, and I think they'll make it to the World Series.
How many playoff losses in a row do they have now? Like 16?
15, but hopefully this one includes not playing the Yankees.
Yeah, all right. So I've got Yankees as my 1. My 2 will be Houston, with the Astros. 3 would be Minnesota.
Yeah,
I had to do that. And then the wild card 1 will be the White Sox. And then my second wild card spot is either going to be Tampa or Oakland, and I think Tampa will just edge them out. The Rays will, because again, I feel like they're better on the bench and it will in the dugout. I mean, I don't know what the term is from baseball, but the manager I feel like they've got a better manager. Although he had a little moment in the Game 6 of the World Series. But I think the AL champion will be the Yankees because I've been saying that for the past 3 years now.
And Alex, what do you got?
I have the 1 seed as the Blue Jays.
Ooh.
Wow.
The 2 seed as the
Astros.
And the 3 seed as the White Sox.
Okay.
And sorry, no, I'm lying. Reverse the Blue Jays and the White Sox. I apologize.
Okay, so you got
that makes a little bit more sense.
So White Sox 1, Blue Jays.
I was thinking 3. Upside down. And then wild card 1, I have the Yankees.
Yankees, understandable.
Wild card 2, I have the Twins.
Ooh, and who do you think in that mess will win?
AL champion, I have the White Sox.
I was gonna say, I think the AL playoffs will be a much more fun thing to see. In this
NL playoffs will seem a little bit more.
The 1 seed plays the winner of the wild card game, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So over on this side, you would have the Dodgers.
The same thing for a 1-2 wild card 1. We all have the same thing.
Yeah, I think the Padres will win the wild card. The Phillies, it would be nice to have a red October. It's just sadly I don't think it happens.
Whoever's matched up with the Padres in the wild card is sad.
Unless we have a very, very great game and make it to the second round where we are at least guaranteed one, I believe. Yeah, one home game. I believe that's with all my heart. I believe we have a red October. That's all my heart. But I think the Dodgers, the Padres.
I really hope we're all wrong and the Phillies pull a nice run under their toughest. That would be.
I think they really do. I think this year, if they're 1 or 2 moves away, like the Sixers are, I'm bringing in other Philly sports here. They're that 1 move or 2 away, and they can make that trade. Say if they really want, say DH is confirmed for next season. I think they make a trade for Trevor Story. That's my hot take.
That's actually not a bad idea.
Not this year.
DD would make.
Next year will be your year that you see the Phillies make a nice run, I think.
And then World Series. So mine is the Dodgers and the Twins. I think the Dodgers will go back to back. Jared, you have the Dodgers and the Yankees. What you've been saying?
Dodgers, still Dodgers. But now I'm kind of wondering. I don't know. We'll find out. I feel like it'll be easy. It'll be easier to say when we do the postseason. But right now, the Dodgers will go back.
I also have Dodgers.
I mean, who doesn't?
Yeah. Yeah, I am honestly hoping we're all right here. I'm at least hoping the Phillies prove me wrong and that they'll make it past the wild card.
Yeah, there you go.
I hope they go to the NLCS.
And in conclusion, we all figure out the Dodgers are in our very early predictions will make the World Series and win the entire thing.
That was a nice 2 hours. I thought we were only.
That was a nice podcast, everybody. This was a great first one. Once again, thank you, Alex, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks.
I appreciate you guys.
This has been episode 1, part 1, and part 2. This is going to be a 2-parter of our first Liberty for Philly podcast. Make sure to join us next Sunday. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching the first 2 parts of our Liberty for Philly podcast. If you like what you see, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And also, if you would like to keep updated on what we are following at the moment, make sure to check out our Twitter, which will also be in the description below. If you would like to see more videos, hit that notification bell as we will post every Sunday a new podcast. Maybe it'll be 2 parts, maybe it'll just 1, but we'll make sure to get a podcast to you every Sunday. Thank you for viewing. See you guys next time.